All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Are we there?
Morning, boss. Rotate.
Yeah,
All
good
right,
morning,
morning.
sir.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you. How is it fine, sir?
Very fine, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shola. Good morning.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's get started for today. Today is Wednesday, the 27th of March, 2024, and we have just two events fundamentally today. We have the Spanish flash CPI yearly from Europe by 9 a.m. and FOMC member Walla is going to speak by 11 p.m. That's way later tonight. So after the news from Euro by 9 a.m., there's no fundamental activity again throughout the whole of the trading day till 11 p.m. tonight. So that means we could have some technical setup that could trigger into a trade in the course of the day. Now, let's look at the detail of this news event. And it says that the Spanish flash CPI yearly measures the change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers, and actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. Now, we should also know that it's a medium impact event, meaning it may not move as much as a high impact event, but nonetheless, we could still experience some movement. So if the actual comes out, the forecast is 3.1%. If the actual is greater than 3.1%, at least from 3.2% upwards, it means we are buying the euro. That is, we could buy euro USD, euro JPY, euro card. And if the actual is less than the forecast, that is anything from 3.0 and below, it means we could sell, that's we could sell euro USD, euro JPY, euro card, and euro CHF. So that's what, it means. The one in the night by the FOMC member Walla is not tradable. It's a speech. You can see it does not contain any previous or forecast. So there's nothing to expect in terms of actual. This one is a no-no, but you are not even expected to be in the market at that time. So technically, we are just a fundamental event for today. But then if you observe in the last couple of days, there's been some form of, range and instability in the market. And because we don't really have a strong fundamental event today, that may also, it's possible the market still, have a slow movement or a range today. It's very, very possible. So if you have to trade, please trade with a lot of caution because volatility may still be a bit on the low side. Okay, that being said, I want to flip over to the technical side so that we can look at tradable technical setup for the day. Now, because there's not been much volatility, even getting signal is not that we really don't have much instrument with tradable setup. So today, though there are setup for swing traders, but for intraday traders, really don't have much setup like that. I have just two to show us, and the first being the AUD USD. And this is AUD USD on 1 hour time frame. Now, I'll still give my outlook on gold and dollar, but let's just take this one first because I'm giving a setup on what I'm seeing. Please, as you join us, kindly mute your device. That person's device distracted us a little now. So from what I can see technically, I am seeing a possible uptrend on AUD USD, and that has been my weekly outlook on this instrument right from the beginning of the week. I can see that price is still trying to bounce, off this trend line from the daily time frame. So price, is back on that trend line as a support, and we will expect a bullish movement. That's the daily. If we switch down to 4 hour, on 4 hour candle, we can see it's a rejection candle, a pin bar, the last 4 hour candle. That also is an indication, of a bullish movement. And if we move down to 1 hour, this is where we are. And this could, all things being equal, if there's enough liquidity, price could actually form an inverse head and shoulder now break out, upwards. And we can also draw a trend line right here to capture the movement. So what we're expecting for is a breakout of price above this trend line, and we will see a bullish movement on AED/USD. Now it may still end up forming an inverse head and shoulder. That will be an added information. But even if it doesn't form inverse head and shoulder, as long as price breaks out up there, then we should have a very bullish trade on AUD/USD. So I hold a bullish bias on AUD/USD for intraday trading, that is within the trading day on a 1 hour time frame. Now, another intraday setup I have today is on the Euro New Zealand. I was bearish on this two at the beginning of the week, and I still maintain my bearish outlook. Now, for this instrument, on the daily time frame, we can see a downtrend, a movement downwards on the daily time frame. And let me remove this line. And we can clearly see that the candle of yesterday closed as a rejection candle of there, though there's no, okay, it's still on that downward trend line. So that could act as a kind of a resistance to lead to a bearish breakout. And if we zoom down to 4 hour, we can see that we have a resistance because the last candle here is clearly a doji, and not just a doji. We equally can see that we have a resistance at that point. So all this is still to ensure a bearish breakout on this instrument. So that earlier bearish view is still very much enforced, all things being equal. So all we need now is just the volatility to push, price downwards. That's all we require now, because technically we're having a resistance on 4 hour. Now, not just an ordinary resistance, this is equally beginning to look like, on this side, is looking like a head and shoulder, which will lead to a breakout. On another look, this is looking like a double top, but ultimately, if you're having a confluence of patterns like that, we expect a bearish breakout, and we can still flip it down to 1 hour time frame to get our entry. If you want to do it on 4 hour, it's good for 4 hour too if you're a swing trader, but then it's really applicable also on 1 hour intraday entry. Very, very valid for an intraday setup. Let me show the 1 hour because of our intraday traders. Sorry, my voice is a little bit low. Let me bring it up a little. So because of our intraday traders, let's bring it to 1 hour time frame. If you want to do it as swing, it's at your discretion. It's valid both as swing and intraday setup. So I'm bearish on Euro New Zealand likewise. And so that's just all the two setup I have for day trading. Now I'll show you the one I have for swing, and I'll show you the long term. So I have to take it one after the other. The day trading, just leave it as it is. If that's the way the market goes to day trade that way. For the swing, okay, pardon me, before I move on, I think I'm rushing a little. I also have a setup I'm watching closely for BTC. Now, I remember giving analysis on BTC, I think it was yesterday, and this is BTC on 1 hour time frame. And I said that I was seeing the possible formation of a head and shoulder, that maybe price might go before falling. And that is exactly what is happening at the moment. BTC currently, on the, I think the 4 hour daily time frame, price hit a rejection at $71,000 per BTC. That formed a psychological level. And at that level, zooming down to 4 hour time frame, we ended up with a rejection candle here at the middle of, price over there. And if you zoom down to 1 hour, 1 hour equally gave us another rejection candle exactly at that psychological level. So we were expecting the formation of a head and shoulder and a breakout. So now from yesterday, that didn't happen, but I think overnight it's now showing us we are having a head and shoulder. So if price breaks out below the trend line, it will be a time to trigger a sell on the BTC USD and confirm that with RSI clearly below 50. That would be a time to trigger a sell on BTC USD. So I'm bearish on BTC USD. So 3 setup I already gave now for intraday: AED USD, Euro New Zealand, and BTC USD. But please, BTC USD is to be traded with caution. If it's not your instrument, please don't bother. If you trade crypto, yes, you can trade it because it has a high level of volatility. It's not for everybody. If you know your personality cannot cope with it, please stick with currencies. Okay, so next I go over to the swing setup. Now for the swing setup, we have quite a number of setup. I try as much as possible to see if I could minimize them, so that we don't have too many setups to look after. But the prominent ones among all setup is the ones that have to do, they are the ones that have to do with the pound, like the GBP JPY, GBP CHF, the GBP New Zealand. Those ones I found a tradable setup on them. Yeah, this is GBP CHF, on the 4-hour time frame. But this setup dates back to the daily and the weekly time frame. The candle for last week actually closed as a rejection candle on a resistance level on the weekly time frame. That's why we were looking for a bearish movement on it this week. And on the daily also, we have a very strong rejection candle on it since last week, towards the end of last week. So coming back down to 4-hour, it's still a valid. Yeah, earlier in the week, we actually, it's part of the instrument I analyzed. I remember saying I expected a pullback a little before breakout, but then price, did its own thing and went way up. But then it's still within the general resistance zone, so it's still okay. Now we're expecting a bearish movement in this instrument, so we still retain a bearish outlook on GBP CHF. It's a rising wedge on a weekly resistance level, and we still expect a bearish breakout. And a closer look is showing us that this is actually looking very close to a double top, which should lead to the bearish movement. So I'm still bearish on GBP CHF. Now, if you are a scalper, you can still flip down to 15 minutes time frame and still draw your trend line both in front. The back will not work, just in front alone is good enough. And if you can use that to capture some entry, that would be nice. So you wait for price to break below the current minor support, and you can trigger a sell, on GBP USD, all things being equal. That's if you don't want to wait till the 4-hour breakout. You can do that if you're a scalper. But by and large, on 15 minutes, on 4 hours, I'm bearish on GBP CHF. And on GBP JPY, likewise, I hold a bearish outlook. I hold a bearish outlook on GBP JPY also. On the weekly time frame, price closed last week as a rejection candle on the weekly time frame, and we can actually draw trend lines to measure a possible reversal in price. So you can see price touching, different higher highs, which could also lead to a reversal, because at this instance, right here, the trend line could actually act as a resistance, with a rejection candle to lead to a bearish breakout. So technically, we have a bearish outlook on GBP JPY from the weekly time frame. So if you flip down to the daily, we don't really have much, but on 4-hour time frame, this is where we are on 4-hour. We can draw a trend line here. And if price breaks out below this trend line, it will be a time to trigger a sell, because now we now end up with a pattern that looks closely like a head and a shoulder. So if price breaks out below the trend line, we can trigger a sell on GBP JPY. And please confirm with your RSI below 50. Currently, RSI is exactly on 50. So if a candle breaks out below the GBP JPY now on 4-hour and not only breaks out, but closes outside the trend line, that might be an indication to trigger a sell on GBPJPY with the confirmation that your RSI is below 50. So I'm bearish on GBPJPY. Also, please trade GBPJPY with a lot of caution. It can be very volatile. So please trade it with caution. And also, if you must trade this one, please ensure you have enough capital. That's GBP New Zealand. The spread is wide and it can be volatile also. Now, for GBP New Zealand, I just see a rising wedge on the 4-hour time frame. And I'm seeing the pattern that is forming on the same 4-hour that is close to a head and shoulder, which will lead to a bearish breakout. I'm not sure there's any resistance. No, none. But then the chart pattern within the rising wedge is equally very valid, for a reversal. The rising wedge and if you take a look closer, you will also see that. Just a second. You see that the last 4-hour candle actually closed as a pin bar. So that's an indication that the market is getting ready for a reversal. And finally, we equally can see that there's actually a resistance here also. So we have a rising wedge pattern with a resistance, with a head and shoulder. Everything is leading to a bearish breakout. But then you need to wait for price to break out below, except you want to do a first entry at the close, when price breaks below the neckline of the head and shoulder. If that's fine by you, it's okay. But then the bigger move is when price breaks out of the lower trend line, because that will lead to a massive bearish breakout. Please, this is strictly for swing traders, because all these things I'm saying may not be fully mature today, except there is volatility in the market. But swing traders are naturally very patient. So if you're a swing trader, this can be, that trade you've been waiting for. And to Fibonacci 50 could give as much as about 251 pips. So that's if you are looking at entry at Fibonacci 23.6. You may enter before then, because price may break out before Fibonacci 23.6. But then if you want to go before Fibonacci 23.6, you are looking at about 290 pips. So if you're a swing trader, don't sleep on this one. Just keep your eyes closely on it as we watch it unfold. Okay, so I've given the 3 GBP pairs. Then I'll give another pair on swing. And first, the other one I'll give rather is a CAD JPY. All right, for CAD JPY, just like we had with the GBP JPY, price closed last week on a resistance level on the weekly time frame. You can see here, price closed on a resistance level, and price is really. So if you flip down to the 4-hour time frame, this is what we have on 4-hour, and we can draw a trend line, uptrend line. Then we can trigger a sell on CAD JPY, also with our RSI below 50. So we hold the bearish outlook also on CAD JPY. Now, if CAD JPY is going to be selling, now this one, you take one out of the two. Either you want to sell CAD JPY or you are looking for a bullish opportunity on New Zealand CAD. Now, for New Zealand CAD, this is this instrument on the 4-hour time frame. Let's go to daily. On the daily time frame, we can see that we have a support level between these two candles. So we have a valid, at least the tip is touching. We have a valid support level, between the two set up there on the daily time frame. So we can flip down to 4-hour. Let's even sit down to 1 hour. Okay, one is looking. Okay, either 1 hour or 4-hour, but I think I'm more favorable for the 4-hour, but it's equally valid on the 1 hour. But let's start with the 4-hour. On the 4-hour, what I'm seeing here is that we may end up with a formation of a pattern that looks like a double bottom, which will lead to a bullish reversal. So if CAD JPY will sell, this one will definitely buy. But I don't advise trading both of them. Don't take a sell on CAD JPY and a buy on New Zealand CAD. Pick one. If it's CAD JPY you want to sell, sell CAD JPY. If it's New Zealand CAD you want to buy, buy New Zealand CAD. Don't trade both of them together because it's possible they may want to move at the same time because of the CAD that is present in both of them. So trade both with a lot of caution. But I'm bullish on a New Zealand CAD for the remaining part of the week. It's a falling wedge on a support level on the daily time frame. So it's a bullish setup for me. And if I flip down to 1 hour, let me still look. It's still a valid falling wedge even on 1 hour. And you can still look. In fact, there's an early breakout I'm seeing here because I'm seeing an inverse head and shoulder forming here, which could give you an early breakout. So day traders can still look out for this also. So if price breaks out above the trend line, you can trigger a buy on New Zealand CAD. But that's on the condition that you're trading only one out of the two. Either you're selling CAD JPY or you are buying New Zealand CAD. And I think I should have the final one now, and that will be crude oil. Now, I gave an analysis on crude oil earlier in the week. Just a second. Yeah, I gave a bearish outlook on crude oil earlier on in the week, and my analysis seems to be working just as planned. Only it seems to be taking some time, and that's understandable because the market has been on a kind of a range since Monday. Yes, there was a little volatility, but not in the expected direction. Not in the expected direction, but all the same, it happens. Such happens in the market. For this instrument, I'll take the analysis again for the benefit of those who didn't join us earlier. Now, we had a rejection candle that closed last week in a support turn resistance scenario, which should lead to a bearish breakout. And that's on the weekly time frame. Still on the same weekly time frame, we have a downtrend line here, touching 3 trend lines consecutively, 1, 2, and 3, and acting as a resistance and should also lead to a bearish breakout. So we have 2 valid reasons, 3, a downtrend, a support on resistance, and a doji, all telling us that, we have a bearish break on this instrument. And I remember clearly telling us earlier that I was seeing the possible formation of a head and shoulder pattern, which should lead to a break. Though that pattern is not forming exactly as I always tell us, sometimes these things may not happen exactly as we think. But then the shoulder, though this second shoulder is looking bigger than the normal shoulder, but shoulder and shoulder is still going to drop anyway. And finally, I told us that I was expecting price to also break a resistance, a minor resistance turn support, somewhere around here. Now, if you're a swing trader, I will advise you still wait for that breakout below this minus support turn resistance before you trigger a sell, on this instrument. Yeah, it's a swing trade, traded with caution because crude oil can be volatile. Price is just currently around the neckline. So for me, I will still wait for price to break out and look at entry below, this zone. So let's just take some caution in trading. Don't forget that volatility is a bit low today. So please, all these instruments, watch them closely. Don't just jump into them. Watch that it unfolds just like it is analyzed. For the crude oil, RSI is clearly below 50. So we're only waiting for price to break out below this neckline and possibly below this resistance turn support zone to trigger a final entry. All right, so that's all the instruments I have for us this morning. Yeah, I can see people are dropping requests. Now, for the request you're dropping, to be honest, I cannot give guarantees because volatility is low in the market. But nevertheless, I will still tell you my professional view on all the currency pairs you are dropping. For day traders, can we do sell stop order for it? For which one specifically? That's Mia's iPhone.
For US oil, sir.
Sure, you can do a sell stop. Why not? You can do a sell stop. And if you have to do a sell stop, I will advise you use your Fibonacci from the most recent low to the most recent high, and entry can be around Fibonacci 50. You know, for day traders, if price actually breaks this neckline, if it goes to retest, now I'm not usually a fan of retest, but we're in a resistance zone. It's possible we have a retest before it continues. A day trader could just make some entry around this region if there is a retest. Otherwise, I will advise you wait for Fibonacci 50. Okay, thank you, Mr. Damilare. I almost forgot. I said I've given you intraday setup, swing setup. Now, once you go to the long term, it almost came my mind. Thank you, Mr. Damilare, for that. And that's on gold and the dollar index. Now, these are two heavyweight instruments that, especially the dollar index, that can control a lot of things in the market, not only today, for many weeks to come. Now, for the dollar index, I remember telling us on Monday that the way this thing is going, I might be looking at a possible bullish breakout, though on the short term, let's trade what we see. But what is evolving on the long term is looking like a bullish breakout. Now, for the dollar index on the daily time frame, what is visible at the moment as we speak is a symmetrical triangle. And the rule around symmetrical triangle is that if price breaks out upwards, it's a buy. If price breaks out downwards, it's a sell. So if price breaks out upwards, you buy. If it breaks out downwards, you sell. But take note that, like I said, except there's something that pushes the market today, volatility may just be low. But for one reason or the other, if it happens, you can trade in that direction. Now, for gold, on the other hand, I remember clearly telling us that gold, is trying to make a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and a drop from there. That's 4 hour. Let's flip back to the daily time frame. And on the daily time frame, gold is, it's clearer now. It's making its intention known more now. This is a shoulder. This is a head. This rejection candle alone is serving as a second shoulder, and we may experience a bearish breakout on gold any moment. Any moment. Now, let's still take note that the neckline is still very valid. We have a minor support zone down there as the neckline, and for the long-term break, price will have to break out below the neckline, for the massive bearish movement. So if gold is looking bearish, then the only logical thing to do is to expect the dollar index to go in the bullish direction. But all these things I'm telling you is on the long term. For now, trade what you see on the lower time frame. All these are long-term projections. On the long term, the dollar can be bullish, while gold will really go bearish. But like I said again, for emphasis, that's on the long term. On the short term, please trade what you see. All right, so I think I've addressed that. So for those asking for gold analysis, I think I've done that. AED card, Euro USD, DJ30. All right, I'll attend to those three, and I think we should stop there. AUD card. Okay, where is AUD card? Euro USD DJ30. I think I should do Euro USD first. It's closer. Okay, so this is Euro USD. Currently, there's no tradable setup around this instrument. That's for Euro USD. I'm not seeing any setup at the moment. So I will advise maybe you look at AUD USD. I already gave a bullish outlook on AUD USD, but Euro USD is not having any outlook at the moment. And peradventure you're on a trade, just make sure you have your stop loss in place, just to protect yourself in case things go the other side. And for AED card, For this instrument, I told us on the long term, it was supposed to be a head and a shoulder, which should lead to a bearish breakout. But also on the second look, I remember telling us we were to see maybe a double bottom and a break. So when an instrument is having clumsy setup like this, buy or sell, you need to be very careful around it. Currently on the daily time frame, it's it's forming a rejection candle on the daily time frame. That's daily time frame today. So let's go down to the lower time frame, like 1 hour. Okay, I think the pattern here is similar to what we have on the AUD USD. Can have this kind of triangle pattern, and since it's a rejection candle we are seeing on daily, this could lead to an inverse head and shoulder and a bullish breakout. So I would say I hold the bullish outlook on AUD CAD, just like I hold the same on the AUD USD. They look close. The pattern on both of them is very, very close. And finally, DJ30. Now for DJ30, my view on this earlier was this. You can see I have the resistance zone, on the weekly time frame. Let's go there. Okay. On the daily, price was coming down. So this is a resistance zone. So we had a resistance turn support, which should lead to a bullish movement on the DJ30. Okay. And on 4 hour, this was an earlier rejection candle, which should also support a bullish movement. So let's flip down to 1 hour. On 1 hour, what may happen is this whole zone may be an inverse head and shoulder and a breakout. That's what may likely happen. So I will advise, if you are to look for entry, just look for entry. If it forms, now I don't own the market. I only give you, my view based on experience. I would suggest you have your neckline, a little bit high up there, so that you give the market a breathing space before breaking out. So if the pattern forms exactly like this or close to this, you may have a breakout around 39,536.11, around that region. You may be able to trigger a buy on DJ30. So I can give a bullish outlook on DJ30. Shade's FX, like you're joining us late today. I already gave my view on Euro USD. There's no setup on Euro USD at the moment. Market volatility is generally very, very low. So there's no tradable setup on Euro USD. All right, I think that'll be all this morning. I've attended to all the questions and I've given my outlook. Peradventure you joined us late, you can go to my YouTube channel and watch, the replay of the session. If you don't have my YouTube address, just go over to YouTube and on the search bar type Learn Forex with Rotimi Olawale, and you can get the recording of today's class, today's analysis on it. So if you're on the platform, you are yet to open a live account with PU Prime, please go to our website, www.puprime.com. Open an account and your account manager will reach out to you just a few minutes after you open the account, and the person will be able to guide you through the registration process and also your account verification. Now, all the analysis we give here will only be of profit to you if you have a live account and you can trade with it. If you are on the WhatsApp groups, on a few of them earlier in the week, on Monday precisely, I shared some testimonials of, some of us on the platform this morning, some of them shared testimonials with me, but, I had to crop out their names from that testimonial I posted, at least for privacy reason. But some of them are really making money, with us. And if you're there, you are not making money, well, it's time to change that approach. Fund your account, trade with all this analysis, and start making money. How do I know when to buy? You know when to buy when your strategy tells you. Now, I think this person must be new. There are a lot of things that this is not a training class. This is an analysis class. So if you don't know so much about this, I would suggest you join our physical training. There are a lot of things to look out for before you say you want to place a buy. Time will not permit me to go into all that now. But then if you are based in Lagos or Abuja, I will advise you attend our physical training either in Lagos or Abuja. And if you are not in any of these two locations, you can always join us online for online trainings on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays by 3 p.m. There you'll get to learn a lot about how to trade the Forex markets. That's for Chidi Noble. All right, we're ending the class right here. Please trade safe and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir. Bye. Have a nice day.
You too, man.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.